Unit 4-6, we've got a possible 1054, female unresponsive. Highway 41 just past the overpass.
Copy that, dispatch. Approaching now. Looks like... What the hell? Detective Jonathan Harker sat in the bullpen, staring blankly at the same report he'd been reading for 20 minutes. His mind wasn't in the room. It was still at the apartment, at the scene. The silence broke when Officer Kerrigan stepped in. "I've got nothing but bad news for you, John." Jonathan didn't even lift his eyes. "The consultant you wanted. He's out. Europe. Something with Interpol. They might send a replacement through the same agency, but we've got to wait a week." Jonathan gave a dry sigh. That was the least of his worries, and Kerrigan wasn't done. "You're really not going to like the rest of it, John. We've got another hit. And this time, wasn't a civilian. It was one of ours. Officer from the 12th, out near the overpass." Jonathan's head snapped up. He was responding to a 1045. Dashcam shows a woman. Fast, strong, violent. MO matches the blood drinker case. That stopped him cold. A woman. That didn't track. The working profile, years of incidents, patterns, all pointed to a man. A lone male predator. And now this? Jonathan grabbed the latest files. Cross-referencing the footage Kerrigan had just dropped on his desk. He flagged the new case, called for the only other person who'd been down in the mud with him long enough to know how deep it really went. Officer Sean O'Connor. Together they pored over the crime scene, side-by-side comparisons, entry points, exit wounds, blood loss, everything. This doesn't feel like him. He's always operated in the borough, not highways and overpasses. Always careful, always precise. This one's sloppy, rushed, messy. Copycat, you think? Maybe. An accomplice or a rival. Hell, maybe something worse. The decision was clear. They'd have to see the scene for themselves. If something new was in the city, it was leaving bodies to prove a point. They arrived just after midnight. Lights flickered against the concrete underpass. Yellow tape barely stirred in the breeze. The road was empty, quiet, unnaturally so. The patrol car had been there for hours, and yet nothing had been moved. No one spoke. The officers on site stood back. Eyes glassy, grief hung in the air like fog. One of their own was gone. "Jesus," Sean said. The body was torn, mangled, twisted in a way that barely resembled a human shape. But Jonathan saw it. No blood, just like the others. He fired. Look, casings. He got shots off. Sean knelt beside the vehicle, squinting at the dark slick just under the shattered driver's side mirror. "Oil?" Sean said. "No, that's too thick, too black." Jonathan dipped a swab in it, watching how it clung, viscous, almost tar-like. It reeked of iron and rot. "Bag it. Lab first thing in the morning. Have those guys look at it and see if they can figure out what the hell this is." "You think it bled?" "Something did." In the distance, there were sounds, the rustling of wood, trees. Jonathan froze. His eyes darted towards the tree line. Just beyond the tape, something moved. A shadow. Sliding between trunks, a whisper of motion, just enough. He took off. "Hey, Harker! Damn it! Son of a bitch, I'm not built for running." But Jonathan was already gone, feet pounding. feet pounding dirt, hand on his sidearm. The forest swallowed him in seconds. No lamps, no buildings, just black trees and cold air. He pulled out his flashlight, and then he saw it. In the murky shadows, just behind the trees, not one figure, not two, but three. Two pale figures, nearly covered by shadow, stood still, statuesque. Their skin like porcelain, their lips red, eyes black. But the third one, she wasn't standing, at least not on the ground. She was standing horizontally, off the side of a tree. Jonathan's instincts kicked in. He fired his gun several times. They didn't even flinch. He knew he hit them center mass. There was no reason for him to stay. He needed to run. And he did. He ran because every fiber of his being screamed for him to do so. He just stepped into something far stranger than he was used to, and far hungrier. And for once, he didn't feel like he was in charge. He didn't feel like he knew what he was doing. He knew he was prey and little else.